First Amendment is one of the most well-known rights in the Constitution. It protects several core freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of the press, and the right to peacefully assemble. These rights are essential in a democratic society because they allow citizens to express their opinions and challenge the government without fear of punishment. When it comes to policing, the First Amendment plays a major role in how officers interact with the public, especially during things like protests, demonstrations, and public gatherings. Police officers are responsible for protecting people's rights to express themselves, even if they disagree with what is being said. At the same time, officers also have to maintain public safety and order. For example, during a protest, officers cannot arrest someone just for speaking out or criticizing the government. However, if that protest becomes violent, destructive, or threatens public safety, then officers are allowed to step in and take action. This shows the balance between protecting rights and enforcing the law. According to our material, police also manage things like traffic control and preventing disruptions during public events, which ties directly into the First Amendment responsibilities. Another important point is that not all speech is protected. Certain types of speech, like threats or illegal content, such as child exploitation material, fall outside the First Amendment protection. So officers must understand where that line is, which can sometimes be difficult in real-world situations. Now, moving on to the Fourth Amendment, which is one of the most important amendments in policing. The Fourth Amendment protects citizens from unreasonable search and seizures. In simple terms, it means police cannot just search someone or take their property without a valid legal reason. This is where concepts like probable cause and reasonable suspicion come into play. Probable cause means that an officer has to have enough evidence to reasonably believe that someone committed a crime. This is usually required to obtain a search warrant or make an arrest. On the other hand, reasonable suspicion is a lower standard and allows officers to briefly stop and frisk someone, which is known as the Terry stop. In law enforcement, the Fourth Amendment directly affects how officers conduct their daily duties. Officers are generally required to obtain a warrant from a judge before conducting a search. However, there are exceptions for that. For example, in certain circumstances, officers can act without a warrant if there is an emergency, such as someone in immediate danger or evidence being destroyed. Another example is the plain view doctrine, where officers can seize evidence if it is clearly visible during a lawful interaction. The Fourth Amendment also connects to the exclusionary rule, which states that if evidence is obtained illegally, it cannot be used in court. This rule is important because it holds officers accountable and prevents violations of constitutional rights. When you look at both amendments together, they show how policing is really about balance. The First Amendment focuses on protecting individual freedoms, while the Fourth focuses on protecting privacy and preventing government overreach. Police officers have to enforce the law while still respecting these rights, which is not always easy, especially in high-stress or fast-moving situations. This also connects back to Chapter 8, which talks about policing culture and stress. Officers often work in environments where they have to make quick decisions under pressure, and those decisions can have serious legal consequences. That's why understanding these amendments is so important. They guide officers in making the right choices while also protecting the public. In conclusion, the First Amendment ensures that people can express themselves freely, while the Fourth Amendment protects individuals from unreasonable search and seizures. Both amendments are critical to policing because they define the limit of police authority and ensure that law enforcement operates within the law. Officers must constantly balance enforcing the law with protecting citizens' rights, which is one of the most challenging aspects of the job. Thank you for y'all's time.